Morning everyone, Cargo Bike Life here. This video 4 in our rebuild series of refurbishing a bicycle back to like new condition. And today we're going to talk about cleaning your rear derailleur. Front derailleur is very basic. It just goes back and forth. It doesn't go up and down or anything. It doesn't have pulleys on it. Just for a front derailleur, you just scrub it clean with the brush and some Dawn, rinse it off good, and you'll see a little spring in there. Just put a little oil on that. Don't put grease, put oil, and work it back and forth. That's basically all there is for a front derailleur. They're not very complicated. The rear derailleur is not complicated, but it requires a little more maintenance. So let's get to it over here. Here we have the rear derailleur. This is a Shimano Tourney. And what you'll notice about the rear derailleur is it has two little wheels on it, okay? Inside this little cage. And in here, right here, there's a spring. See that spring in there? And there's no real maintenance required for that spring, except I like to put just a little bit of oil on them just to help protect them from rusting. And anything that's mechanical that moves, I don't see a little oil. I wouldn't douse it in oil. I just put a couple drops on there and try to work it on there. What you want to try to get real clean is these little pulleys. And if you can see that, there's a bunch of dirt built up on there. You see that dirt that's built up on there? Well, there's two ways you can clean these. You can take the whole derailleur, get it wet, and you can scrub this whole thing down with your brush and some Dawn, which will help get rid of all the dirt on the body of it. I like to take a toothbrush, try to get in here to that spring, any little place I can. The other way you can clean the dirt off these wheels is take a flat-headed screwdriver, and if you just push it along the wheel gently, don't gouge it into the wheel, but you can get off all of that residual dirt. You see that dirt that's on the tip of that now? That was all on, that's just a little bit of scraping on that wheel. That's one way you can do it. The other way is take a 3mm wrench and remove these little bolts right here. And I'll show you why I like to do it this way. Get these off of here. And before you take it apart, if you haven't taken apart a lot of derailleurs, notice which way your cage is mounted, this rear cage. You got the thin side up here, and then this, it's to route your chain is what it's for. But the reason I like to remove them is because if you see this little cap that's on there, and there's another little cap right there, and then inside of here is a little metal spacer, okay? That's what this rides on. And I like to clean all this, and then I'll put a little bit of grease on here, put it back in there, so that when it's riding on this bolt, and I'll put a little grease on the upper end of this bolt, so when this is all riding there, there's some grease on it. Helps it spin better, keeps it from wearing so fast. And then these little caps right here, I also put a little grease on the inside of this cap before I put it back on. I don't douse it in grease, I just put a little bit back on. But what you basically do is just pull it all apart. This one can be a little trickier to get to, but just pull it apart. I like to keep the derailleurs separated so I know which one went where. I know this goes at the pivot point right here, and this one, because sometimes they're different sizes. Sometimes the one down here, which I believe this one controls the chain tension, is what I believe it does, but sometimes it'll be bigger. You'll have a small one up here and a big one down here. Sometimes you have to kind of hold it out against the spring. Be a little awkward. Fingers don't want to cooperate today. There we go. Now I can clean both sides of that cage real good. And then I can put it all back together. Like I said, a little dab of grease on this, reinsert it in there, little grease around here, little grease around there, put these back on, little dab of grease on the bolt because you got metal on metal. So as that spins on that metal, a little grease really helps it move nicely. No binding. Anytime you got metal on metal parts, you don't want any binding. But that's basically all there is to it. Putting it back together is the exact reverse of taking it apart. So just pay attention to what you're doing. Maybe take a picture of this side, flip it out, maybe hold it, take a picture of this side so you can remember how everything lines up, and then you'll get it all back together and it'll be all nice and cleaned up. That's basically it. This is Cargo Bike Life signing out. You all get them derailleurs cleaned up, ride safe, and have a good day.